to week 11 of the Street Parking Vault. Jiaolong. Your program B is for time. You will complete 50 kettlebell swings, followed by 40 box jump overs, 30 front squats, 40 box jump overs, and 50 kettlebell swings. Your score for this workout will be your total time, and a good goal to shoot for is somewhere in between 10 to 15 minutes. Welcome to week 11 of the Street Parking Vault. Jiaolong. Your shift workout for today is going to be for time. You will complete 35 eye-level kettlebell swings, 20 low box jump overs, 35 goblet squats, 20 low box jump overs, and 35 eye-level kettlebell swings. Your score for this workout will be your total time, and a good goal to shoot for is to try to complete this somewhere in between 8 to 12 minutes.
What's up, you guys? We are doing week 11 of the Street Parking Vault, Jiaolong. This workout, DH is gonna do the dumbbell version. I'm gonna do the barbell version. I'm gonna have a couple customizations you might not always see. I'm gonna take the kettlebell and I'm gonna go all the way overhead with single arm, and then I'm gonna do the front squats off the rack for all of my reps.
And here we go.
Here we go. Finally, a vault workout with Carlene in it.
Oh, I was so excited.
Oh, yeah. I'm
And
stoked
you
to
can
be
see,
here.
so I like full scent on it.
Oh my gosh, you are going ham right now on those kettlebell snatches.
Yeah.
I love it. I remember getting a text from you that morning like, hey, is it cool if I do this? I was like, 100%. Everyone needs to see this. So how did it feel? You did 50, yeah? Did you do 50?
So
okay.
yeah. I stayed at the 35. But it's definitely doable for me. It got like super grippy towards the end. Like starts out really good, and then
Of course.
Then it gets a little grippy. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if have you dabbled in any of the kettlebell series 1 sessions, the extra program?
I think I've done a couple of them, not a lot. I don't love the kettlebell, so
okay.
that's
yeah.
Okay. We'll speak to that later.
Yeah. Yeah, because the first session of the series 1 is it's like a kettlebell snatch test, and I'm pretty sure it's 100 snatches for time. So
that's cool.
You basically do this workout.
Yeah.
All in one arm.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you remember how you broke this up?
I'm not sure. I think I broke it into like 2 or 3 sets. I know I broke off a big chunk in the front end.
You look
and
like
then
it, yeah.
I was just trying to like stay with, I must have went 2 set. I think I did like a 30 and a 20.
Nice. I wonder if DH did the same. I wasn't really.
I think so.
Yeah. And you guys moved on to the box at the same time. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit. How would you say? Well, I guess we can talk about it when you get back to the snatches. So how are these feeling, these box jump overs?
It felt good at first. And then I started to like slow down a little bit because I realized you've got like 40 reps. And I think I got to like that right about there. I was like, okay, take a breath.
Let me chill out
and
a
then
little
like
bit.
you can see my pace like really slow down, but I just tried to focus on continually moving.
Yeah.
They
Which
don't
is
have
great.
to be at that like fast rate, like just keep moving.
I'm really glad too. Like, so for those watching, like these are 2 very different styles of box jump overs. So like you are landing low and staying low as you step off, which is like perfectly fine as far as, if anyone's concerned about standards. Not that, we don't focus too much on that at street parking. Whereas DH, like you'll see he lands high, he kind of stands up a little bit, steps off the other side. That's my preferred method, only because I'm such a wimp when it comes to my quads blowing up. And I find when I land low, I don't know how it feels for you, but it blows my quads up. So I'm always the one standing up and stepping off the backside because I'm like, ugh, I just don't want to
Yeah,
feel that
so a
burn.
couple of things I think about is I think about landing just like in a good squat position because if I'm
Yeah.
in my toes, I'm in a little bit more uh, squatty.
Yeah.
Uh, and
That's true. That's fair. Your feet were flat. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I just saw a comment on Facebook, a question on Facebook asking about how to get faster, and that's really just the difference there. Those two different box jump types just land a little bit lower and step right off, as opposed to standing all the way up and then coming off.
Yeah. 100%.
So fun backstory on the
Yeah.
or on the front squats is that I was kind of asking like, what do you guys think I should do? Should these be unbroken? And Salvi was like, yeah, probably. And so so I
Oh,
so I was like,
Salvi.
okay.
He threw you under the bus. Oh no.
So I loaded it. I was like, I'm doing 135. So I loaded it with 135 and I was like, oh man, I don't know. And he goes, man, if you go unbroken on these, like I'm going to be so impressed. And so I had it in my mind that I was going to go unbroken through the entire set. And yeah, so that was my goal and my try.
Don't tell me if you do or not. We'll just watch
Yeah.
and see. But yeah, I mean, I would say for anyone watching, if you're going with the barbell version, nice. I would say go heavier and don't worry so much about going unbroken. That's why we only program 30 reps, to allow for that space to go heavier in this workout. You know,
Yeah,
and
so I got
how far did you get?
I got 26 reps and then it started to like slip off my front rack.
Dude,
And I was
Carlene, that's still incredible because you kind of did best of both worlds. Like 135 is heavy. That's not messing around, but you still got so close.
Yeah.
Julie, don't like Salvi fitness bully you, but also go unbroken. Yeah,
It was
that's
definitely
incredible.
like a good challenge too, especially like not having to take it off the floor and clean it up.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
That's fair. And honestly, like, I wouldn't even call that a customization. Like, I think that's
Right.
totally valid. Anytime we have a barbell, like if you have the luxury of having a squat rack and want to go a little heavier and just eliminate the need to pull it off the floor, go for it.
yeah.
Yeah. Which, and for, you know, in your circumstance was necessary because of your, you know, your wrist.
Yeah.
But still, that's incredible. So, and we compensate. I mean, if you've been around street parking long enough, you know that we tend to compensate for like a lighter dumbbell or even a lighter sandbag whenever a heavy barbell is programmed with more volume, right? So DH is chipping away at 50 dumbbell squats, whereas you did 30 front squats. So
Yeah.
it's a simple compensation for just not being able to go quite as heavy with the
For sure.
dumbbells. Yeah. So it's going to take a little longer. Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to. In theory, I would say you should be doing bigger sets with a dumbbell squat than you would with a a front squat, but you're just a special case, Carlene. You're just super fit.
It was actually a pretty fun challenge, and then I had to get like right in my car and drive home, and so then that was not pleasant.
No. So talk to me about these box jump overs. How are they feeling after those
This
front
second
squats?
this second set was way different. It was like focus every single rep. Surprisingly though, they didn't feel quite as bad as I thought they were gonna feel, especially when I really pushed the front squat. So once I got into it, just like again that steady pace definitely helped.
Yeah.
This,
Is there a cue, like you said, you focus or like really paying attention for each rep? Like, is there anything you like say to yourself when you're doing those and you're like, I really don't want to bite it?
It's usually like arms,
Okay,
and then like
nice.
pick my feet up.
Yeah.
Because if my feet get a little bit lazy, then they're gonna catch.
Yeah. Especially with that low landing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just it's efficient because you're not expending more energy than you need to, but it's a fine line, I feel like, between those toes, like just clipping the edge.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I asked DH if there was anything he wanted me to relay, since I'm kind of like, oh, there it
Oh.
is. I was like, I haven't seen it happen yet, but he's like, well, I almost ate it on a box jump over.
That's perfect
So there it
timing.
was. There it was.
Yeah. So I've put the kettlebell down twice now.
Nice. Understandable.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot worse on the second time through.
100%. Yeah, I mean, and I would say even for someone using both hands, bringing the kettlebell
Right.
overhead for a swing, like I would definitely anticipate one break for sure on that first set, like just like you did, 30 and 20,
Mm-hmm.
if not two, and then maybe 2 or 3 to finish off those 50 on the back end for sure. Oh, good. I'm so glad. That's one of our hopes with premiering the workouts like this with the coaches, is for members to get stoked to knock it out. So I'm really glad. Carlene's just on fire right now. I know your forearm is on fire right now.
Yeah, I think it was like sets of 10.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. Yeah, because
But I really focus here on like just really like driving my heels through the ground and like
nice.
using as much hips as possible, especially when the forearms are getting tired.
100%. I mean, that's all you can do, really. I was just gonna say, like, the box jump and the kettlebell swing are so similar, and as far as like movement pattern goes, like you're doing a lot of the same, that aggressive hip, knee, ankle extension.
Right.
So you're really, I mean, and then of course the squat is all that is like flexing the hip, knee, ankle, and then extending the hip, knee, ankle. So there's a lot of fatigue building up to that last set. So focusing on driving through your legs, keeping that rapid opening of the hips and knees is really all you can do. Such a good customization for anyone with a single arm limitation right now.
Yeah, it feels like I'm doing the full movement, where like sometimes when you have to customize because of an injury, it can be frustrating because you're like, it doesn't feel like I'm getting to do the movement. And so it felt a lot better.
Yeah.
And like mentally that helps.
What else? What was your other option? Tell the people what we were kind of deciding between.
The other thought was just like an eye level swing, just single arm eye level swing.
Which would have been totally like, that would have been
fine.
also really appropriate. But yeah, like for where you are with your fitness, and even just technique wise, like I know you're obviously comfortable with a kettlebell snatch with the turnover and stuff. So
right.
Yeah, I think that was far more appropriate for where you are, as far as like being able to match that level of intensity. Maybe even increase, right? Because in theory, like you're using one arm with the same load that others might be using with two. So yeah, that's really, really great. DH is just crushing. Oh, was that it?
Yep.
12:08. Awesome. Both of y'all finished in the goal. That's great.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 2025 Vault. Julian and I are
I mean, this one you gotta keep going, and it just does not get comfortable at all.
Oh. Julian's such a goober. That was awesome.
That was great.
Yeah. I love those teasers.
Yeah, those are good.
I'm so stoked that we started doing those. I messaged Salvi the other day. I was like, man, that's great. That is so fun. Fun for the members to speculate,
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Carlene. So now we're going to talk about this week's workouts.
This week. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to kick it off? So we've already covered Monday's vault, right?
Yep.
Lots of swinging and jumping and squatting. Unless there's anything else you wanted to touch on for Jiaolong.
I don't think so. And now it's just a debate of if I do it again or not. So
That's
I
fair.
don't know. I don't
That's
know if
fair.
I, yeah.
I don't
There
know,
wasn't like
Carleen.
something, I mean, maybe, trying to get that 30 in there, but it depends on how bad I want it. And I don't know if I want it that bad.
Yeah, I mean, 26 is pretty great. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So then, coming off of, I would say like a pretty intense, like relatively shorter, moderate effort with the vault, 10 to 15 minutes, assuming you guys are customizing like you should and finishing in the goal. We have a longer one heading into Tuesday, every 4 minutes for 20 minutes. So hopefully you guys are earning yourself some rest, right?
Right.
20 alternating farmer step ups, followed by a 400-meter run. And I know like the goal times per round, but also in the coach's notes, we strongly recommended an unbroken set of 20. So choosing a load and a box height that'll allow for that. And then pushing pretty hard on the run to earn as much rest as possible with like the goal of at least a minute early on to rest, which honestly is like that's booking it, I think. So what do you think about this workout? How would you approach
What
it?
uh, I really like like when you get like that run and then you have a rest because you don't really have an option but to go hard on the run.
Hmm.
Um, Whereas like if you got to run in and do some other stuff, you're likely to like kind of go like a little bit less on that run.
Yeah, like
So I really like the
coast a
ones,
little.
yeah, I really like these ones that are like finishing with a run, um, and then you get some rest on the other side, and that like allows me to really push, and I feel like I'm getting enough recovery also. So like a 90-second would probably be enough recovery for me. And so I would want to push the run a little bit. Oh, it's every 4 minutes. Okay, never mind. Just joking. 90 seconds is not going to happen. Um,
Yeah.
but it's going to be enough rest that you're going to get a little bit of reprieve there. Just not a full rest for sure.
I'm glad you said that. You were like, "Oh, it's 4 minutes, never mind." So,
Uh,
because and I know that, you and I were chatting before this and we're going to encourage some like full send efforts later in the week. So, and like I said, like hopefully you guys are really like going hard on the vault. So, if I were going to if like for me, I'm going to try to make this like a more like manageable day. So there's like a couple options. One, I think appropriate would be go every 5 minutes
yeah,
for 4 rounds, right?
right.
Which might have been like what you had in mind. I think that's a
Yep.
totally that'll build in some rest without me feeling like I need to like reduce any volume because my other option and what I might encourage someone to do if you want to take our advice, go hard on the vault and then let this be a slightly easier day would be to reduce the run distance. I think 20 step ups like maybe you go lighter, but like otherwise I don't think that that's the volume is like super high or anything. So I would say you could reduce the run a little bit, allow for a more moderate effort maybe, but still build in enough rest to where you're not like absolutely gassed, by the end of the workout.
Yeah. I think personally for me, 20 step ups is going to be more grip intensive than
Yes,
like legs.
for sure.
So it's not really going to affect my run. So I'm gonna be training grip a little bit more than anything.
Especially, right? And you're using both hands now, yeah?
I was just thinking that I think that I will be able to, thinking I can hold the dumbbells for that. I don't know that I can like hold them how I want to,
Yeah.
and how I'm used to, but I'll definitely be able to hold them. Yeah, I got to start
Okay.
getting
Well,
some grips
I
back
want to move on quicker, but like because I know you and I could probably chat forever, but
for sure.
tell me what you mean by how you would like what describe how you would want to hold them.
Yeah, so I like to tilt them. back. So I like to hold
Yeah.
the front head and
Yeah.
tilt them back so it clears the box a little bit
Yeah.
easier. Um, and I'll probably need to hold them pretty like straight up and like,
Like neutral.
yeah, very
Yeah.
neutral.
Which is hard. That's harder. Like
Yeah.
having the pressure against like against your hand, I
Uh-huh.
find helps like with your grip, prolong that.
Well,
Um, but
I've also seen some shorter people struggle to clear the box with the dumbbell. So tilting it up, it just gives them just a slight
clearance.
clearance there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Nice.
Cool.
Cool. All right. So moving on to Wednesday, it's week 11, 11 of 12.
Yeah.
Almost through with our strength focus. So we have a cool like press and pull kind of combo. Emma, would you pan over to the barbell version? I know you guys are going to do that at your affiliate, right, Carlene?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's a descending rep scheme of both a barbell bench or a tempo dumbbell bench and strict pull-ups.
Yeah. The strict pull up goes slower. So two sets of 5, two
Yeah.
sets of 4. But the
Yeah,
bench.
that's a good point. Definitely pay attention to the rep scheme, guys. It's not the strict pull-ups don't descend each set like they do with
Mhm.
the bench press. So make sure you're paying attention to that.
Yeah.
Um, if you were well, Carlene, would you add some weight to those strict pull-ups?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I
Yeah,
think so.
I would actually spend some time making sure I warm up to build to an appropriate weight for 5. Um, because for me, if I just jump up there and like do 5 at like a lighter weight,
Yeah,
not quite warm, I'm probably not getting as much out of it as I could.
yeah,
And
that's
I really
fair.
like to focus on making sure that I'm getting everything out of my strength session. So sometimes it requires like a little bit of warm up before.
Definitely. Which is why, like, and you helped us test a lot of these, or like, early on when Danny was like figuring it out. And
Hmm.
that's why we like really encouraged everyone really like focus on getting part one in, because that's like where the bread and
Right.
butter is, like that's like the meat and potatoes of the workout. And even if like, because we want you to still warm up appropriately, so I feel like you're pressed for time, like take your time, warm up like you should, attack this with all the intensity you can muster, even if it means just doing part one and saving part two, an optional accessory for another day or another time that day, if you have to break it up, which is totally fine. Yeah, and I wanted to
Yeah.
mention the weighted pull-ups because I know there's probably a lot of men and even some women who this is like a relatively lower volume for strict pull-ups. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, if you really wanted to kind of challenge yourself, I think that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that like intensity just looks a little bit different on these days, right? Like
Hmm.
intensity becomes with like the load and not trying to move through everything super fast and just get it done. It's actually slowing down and then like feeling the intensity through the load.
Yes. Yeah, like even well in bench press. So this will be the last time. I think it's okay to spill those beans. I'm pretty sure we don't bench press next week for our final week of the strength focus. And I think this rep scheme and even the rest, I know we say rest a minute and a half. Like it's totally fine if you're resting 2, even up to 3 minutes. Between these, I'll give you guys permission to do that and build up in weight for the bench press and try finishing with a heavy double.
Yeah.
I should say, I know like you guys are going to do it at the affiliate. So like you have spotters at the ready all over the place. But for those of you doing this one at home, like strongly recommend if you can have someone, around, around to spot just
Yeah,
in
and
case.
if you
And if
don't,
not,
no collars.
yeah, I would
Don't
say
use
no
collars.
collars. I mean, maybe only build a heavy double that you like are pretty confident with. But yes, if you don't put collars, then you can do that like shiesty, like the rotation where you let the
Yeah,
plate slide off either
if
side,
you
which is
absolutely
better
have to.
than
Yeah.
being pinned, for
Uh-huh.
and just like calling out for help. So
Yeah. One of the like mental things that I like talk about is that like know with everything inside of you that you're going to hit that lift or don't do it. You
hmm
know, like don't
yes.
go at it being like, I don't know, maybe like you're
Yeah.
probably not going to. So know with everything inside of you that you're going to make that lift and
Yeah.
then hit it.
Yeah.
So,
There's the mental component to lifting is crucial. So Allison says she has, which is so awesome. She has a cable machine. So she's been subbing lat pull downs for pull ups, which I think is fantastic. And yes, Allison, it is good. In fact, if you look at the note, it's kind of, I know the screen's kind of small here, but I mean, banded lat pull downs are a listed substitution, but obviously you can do these loaded with your cable machine. It would just be a slight increase in reps, and they would actually mirror the bench press reps. So you're going to go 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 with your pull down. So yeah, I think that's totally great.
yeah, that's also something I've been doing too in pulling is we have a cable machine also, and so I've been
Awesome.
subbing some lat pull downs to not have my whole body weight pulling. So
Yeah, that's brilliant. So, and I'm glad Emma zoomed in for us. I appreciate that, Emma.
it's great.
So, and because I just wanted to mention in part 2 we have bent over rows. So usually that's a good customization in place of pull-ups, and I do still think it's appropriate, for part 1. But just have that kind of in your head for those of you who maybe don't have a pull-up bar or don't have a setup for an inverted row. If you do decide to do a bent over row for part 1, know that it should be a very challenging load, because when we move on to part 2 and you do bent over rows again, those are a higher volume. It could be lighter, so that can be kind of how you vary those two, even though it's the same movement pattern.
Hmm.
We'll go heavy, really challenging weight for part 1, and then lighten up the load, knowing we're going to be knocking out some bigger sets in part 2. So it's still okay, but if there is another pulling option that you have at your disposal for part 1, I would say try to do that today instead of the bent over row.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you have anything else you wanted to mention for this one?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, just it's a good pump. Lots of upper
For
body
sure.
work. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, like that.
Cool. So let's move on to Thursday. I want you to talk. I know you were
Thursday's
excited
my
about this
favorite
one.
day.
And I'll have
Thursday's
Emma.
my
Emma,
favorite
if you
day.
would. Well, before you do, let's just touch on this first. So program A and
Uh-huh.
B, it'll be 10, 15, 20, 15, 10 of squats and weighted sit-ups. But I'm gonna ask Emma to tab over to program C because I know this is the version you and your affiliate are gonna be doing this week,
Yes.
which is rare to be seen in the street parking programming, but it's
I don't
becoming
know. I don't know if I've
a
yeah,
little
I
bit
don't know if
more
I've ever even
commonplace.
seen it programmed as like an actual just only I've only seen it lately in them in like a
Like the options, right? Like the
uh-huh.
swaps. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so talk about it.
So,
Let's go through it.
yeah, we've got back squats and GHD sit-ups. One of the things that I like about this is that it's going to help you build some volume if you're somebody that doesn't have that much volume on the GHD. If you saw something like 50 unbroken or not unbroken, but 50 chipper style, you're going to notice that that's a lot more challenging than, like 5 sets of 10.
Yeah.
So I like that it's broken up. Um, for me personally, it's like 2 movements that I can do. So I'll go heavy on the back squat and then hit the GHDs. I may increase, for me personally, I'll probably increase the volume of the GHDs just because that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use a little fitness freedom there. Um,
Like
but
what you're thinking, like 15, 20?
I'd probably go 20s.
Nice.
Um, so
And I
yeah, but
think, well, I was just gonna say, which is like totally appropriate if GHD sit-ups, especially, and I'm sure with your wrist limitation right now, you've probably been doing those more often.
yeah.
So for anyone watching who has a GHD machine or like has access to one, but maybe hasn't been doing sit-ups really consistently. This,
Do
I
not
think,
do that.
no, like 50 is by far the limit, I would say. Like I think it's okay.
Absolutely.
Like you can totally do 50. You will be sore, but you won't be putting yourself in danger. Especially like you mentioned, just breaking them up. If it were 50 in a row, like that's a different story. But having them broken up in sets of 10 is like really appropriate. It's a great way to like reintroduce the sit up. If you're like super concerned, or if, I mean, anyone who has maybe had rhabdo in the past, or like, I hate to, it's always so scary to talk about, but definitely you could even reduce the volume from here. Like you could drop to 7 or 8 each time. So if you're at all like a little skittish about sit-ups, GHD sit-ups, but you want to include them, like you obviously have permission to affect that rep range as much as you need to. And like in your case, you have the volume,
Mhm.
like that's not a concern at all. So you can afford to go up in reps, which makes perfect
Yeah.
sense. So
Yeah. One of the biggest things I'll say about the GHD is that they're so deceiving because you will not feel it. You will not feel it in the workout, and you'll be like, I'm fine until the next day or next 2 days.
yeah,
So it's really hard to judge. And so I usually just recommend like starting at like a 30, between the 30 and 50 range, and then evaluate. So
yeah,
how sore were you the next day and then the next 2 days? And if you felt good with that, then you can probably increase your volume to like 60 the next time.
yeah,
If not, then, stay at that volume, but you should be able to do, you know, 50 reps in a workout without being super sore before you start to increase your volume from there.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a great rule of thumb. And this one, you probably could go like pretty hard. But I think there's a nice like ebb and flow to this one. Like you could go a little heavier on the back squat, kind of move through it with intention. Like you don't have to go slowly. I would say go with a load where you can for sure do the sets of 10 unbroken, but then maybe you're breaking up the 15s and the 20 like once or twice. But not a ton. Like I don't think this needs to go super heavy, especially because we know Friday is going to have the heavy version, the strength focus.
Right.
So we kind of want to preserve that, or like going heavy. Or you could. I mean, obviously everyone can do what they want. So maybe this is the day you go heavy and
Uh-huh.
you choose not to go heavy for Fridays. But that could
But
work for sure.
I again, it's just like this different intensity,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not this like kind of like we said, like catch your hair on fire, like intensity. It's just
Yeah,
a different intensity through load.
for
So it
sure.
just depends on uh how you feel and you know what you want to do with that.
Yeah. And even the pyramid, right? Like ascending and then
Right.
descending again is so nice. Like you can kind of work up. I don't want to say warm up because obviously we want you warmed up before you start, but
Uh-huh.
you can kind of build up to that higher volume and then you work your way back down. So it's kind of friendly in that way. Not
Right.
all of our workouts are that friendly. So speaking of, let's move on to Friday.
Yep.
This is the one I know we were going to talk a little bit about kind of choosing between Friday and Saturday to go full send.
Uh-huh.
But this is one where, especially like for me specifically, would you pan over to program A for me, Emma? Um, Knowing that I'm going to throw Coach Chelsea under the bus. She programmed this week of workouts. So I remember chatting with her about this workout in particular and how like gnarly it was going to be. And she was like, yeah, like I want it to hurt, like I want it to be one of those where people just go for it. So 3 rounds, 20 clean and jerks, 20 object facing burpees with a 1 minute rest between rounds. So I think this is a really great one to just go for it.
Yeah. I love that mentality too, because it is 3 rounds. And so it could be easy to be like, oh, well, I got to save myself for, the next round or whatever. But if you can, try and not focus on that and try
Yeah.
and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Just send it and see what happens. And you might
Exactly.
surprise yourself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Like take each round as its own thing, right? Like
yeah.
enjoy the rest. It won't be long. Honestly, 1 minute
No.
is like hardly anything. You would probably take a minute rest anyway.
Right.
Like Miranda says, like, honestly, I would have rested anyway. So, so we're giving you that. But at the same time, yeah, I would say like treat each round as its own like mini workout. I will say, you know, I was reading the coach's notes for it. It's not like we're definitely not asking for unbroken clean and jerks, because you might like hear me say that or hear us talking about like burning it down and like thinking you just got to go all 20 in a row. That's not
Right.
necessarily true. Like you can afford to go heavy enough where you're having to break every like 5 reps or so. But those breaks should be like super short. And then as soon as you're moving on to the burpees, like you are just keeping it at a hard, steady clip, just chipping
Yeah.
away at those reps. And we're actually only scoring slowest round. So like, which is pretty typical. I mean, I would say we usually might do like fastest and slowest. But this is, I think, Chelsea's way of really encouraging everyone to like just send it every single
Yeah.
time and just try to hang on to whatever you're able to like start
Yeah,
with.
for sure.
Julie says the strength focus version looks awesome and bonkers at the same time. Emma, would you pan over to it? Because I do like this one too. And this is a
Yeah.
great option, obviously, for those of you wanting to go heavy because the volume is so much lower. But still keep your heart rate up with those like smaller sets of burpees between. This is what your affiliate's going to do, yeah, Carlene?
Yeah, we'll do this.
Yeah. Gosh, it looks so fun. It looks more fun than the other versions, but still like pretty rough.
Yeah, and I've loved the strength focus stuff.
I bet.
So it's been
Yeah.
super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I really hope everyone's feeling like more confident moving forward from the strength focus, because we won't have these versions.
Hmm.
Just like, and if you haven't been, you could even go back in past weeks and look and like just compare program B to the strength focus and like see how we're manipulating those, because what we want is for you to feel like a little bit more confident in making those decisions on your own moving forward, right? Like you probably do this pretty often where like you look at a street parking workout and you're like, okay, how can I like bias my strength, or how can I bias my gymnastic skill, or you know, like
Right.
how can I manipulate this to suit like my goals right now or whatever it
Yep.
is. So even though we won't be offering these for you know, moving forward after next week, I think it's great. I think it's a great practice for you guys who like, oh, I just want to go heavy today, so I'm going to drop some reps. You know what I mean? Like break it up a little bit more, go heavier. So
Yep, for sure.
yeah, cool. All right. So yeah, this is me, Coach Alex, saying this is the one I would want you guys to send it on today or this week. But I mean, Coach Carlene did mention Saturday could be a good one to send it on too. So let's hop over to Saturday. So I would say like if you guys maybe decide to just go heavy and kind of chill through the strength focus version on Friday, then maybe Saturday is a good day for you to like burn it down. You want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about it, Carlene?
You know what I love about this one is that I would love that, like, I love the, it's a, what is it? It's a Nicole version, a girl's name workout. So,
Yeah.
it's a 400-meter run, max rep pull up.
Yes.
But I love that run hard and then come in and see how many pull-ups you can do unbroken. What's
Mm-hmm.
cool about this is you'll get maybe a little bit of rest, because that's what I would do for it. Was I would go just one max rep unbroken and then I would
Nice.
rest,
Nice.
instead of like, really you could probably just chip away at this for the 2 minutes. But if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, just hang on for like an unbroken set and then rest. And
I
then you go
love that.
into some legs for the next round. So
I
it's kind
love
of
that.
nice. You get to go a pull and then some legs and then pull and legs.
Yeah.
So
I'm so glad. Like you and I are just, yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because I look at this and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like chip away at small sets of the pull-ups, like just accumulate my target reps over time, and that's appropriate for me. Like that's totally fine, and I think for a lot
right.
of people that's gonna be great. But oh my god, 100%, like you're totally right. Approaching this like Nicole, where it's like, all right, you're gonna pull up bar, you got one chance, like just go for it, big,
For
big
sure.
max unbroken set, earn some
Yeah.
rest for yourself, and then get ready to start again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so fun to like, I don't know, test that like max set of pull-ups. I just know the last time I did Nicole, it was super fun to see what I'm capable of. So
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, because so and like we talked a little bit with on Tuesdays with the 400-meter runs, and that was actually a similar like even structure to the workout where you're trying to get some work done within a window of time. So similar to this, if you know that a 200-meter run takes you longer than, honestly, I would shoot for a minute. You can afford for it to be like a minute 10, minute 15, but you really have to be like moving quickly to accumulate the reps you need to hit the goal for the pull-ups and the lunges. So this is another one where I think it's appropriate. If you need to, you can reduce the distance slightly. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, maybe like
uh-uh.
25, 50 meters,
Yeah.
but something just enough where you're still like getting that minute effort, and then you still have a full minute, or roundabout to chip away at those reps. Especially with something like this, like I would want to build in maybe like 10 seconds, at the end of the 2
For
minute
sure.
window
Yeah.
going into the next, just so I can like push a little bit going into the run. Um, so yeah, definitely just be willing. I'd say like don't let your ego get in the way. If you need to, you can shave a couple meters off, still give a good hard effort, be done in a minute, and then chip away at those max reps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because yeah, go
go for
ahead.
it.
I was just gonna say this because I said you should full send on Friday. I was like, this to me is a great like just mover day. Like I'm just committing to basically like 20 minutes of solid, consistent movement. Um, but yeah, like I mean, like you said, it could be the opposite where Friday you're just kind of like, you're hitting it a little bit heavier, maybe, a little bit less intensity. So then today it would be a great day to like just really send it and tell the people what you were saying. How should they decide between Friday and Saturday? Do you
I forget
remember?
what I said.
You were saying you're saying basically go
Oh,
off
yeah,
of
yeah,
your
yeah.
preference. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Go off what you don't want to do.
Yes.
So last week I challenged my affiliate with that. It's like, choose the machine that you don't want to do. You came in looking forward to a machine. I want you to do the opposite.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
whatever thing you don't want to do. And my gym loves to hate me for that.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
yeah,
that's the role of a coach.
I'm always gonna kind of encourage, like, if you're super excited for, the run and the pull up because it's usually because you're really good at it. So maybe go full send on the burpees and clean and jerk rather
Yeah.
than a run and the pull up.
Yeah. That's what coaches are for. We tell people what they need to hear instead of what they
For
want to
sure.
hear. So,
Yeah.
and of course it's fitness freedom. If it brings you
Yep.
joy and you want to just, you're like, no, it's okay. I like pull-ups, I like lunges, I want to burn it down, well,
Right.
that's fine. But
Well, that's the
you
thing
can't
too, is
come complaining to us and saying, oh my, I'm not strong or whatever, I want to get stronger. It's like, well,
yep.
what are you doing
It's a
to,
suggestion.
yeah,
It's a suggestion. You can take it or
yeah,
leave it. And
there
and
you go.
what I told my gym was that nobody's gonna know except for you. Nobody will know, like, if you chose the hard thing or not.
Yeah,
So
rigorous honesty, baby.
yeah,
Cool. All right, it's a fun week ahead.
yeah, I'm
Hopefully this
excited.
guy gave you guys some good goals to shoot for. Um, kind of laid it out for you. And we look forward to seeing, everybody posting about all the workouts that they love to hate in the Facebook group and on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, really quick. Yeah, I'm glad Julie asked a question. We can open it up a little bit for a couple minutes. If you have to sub bent over row for the pull-ups, would you go with a light, moderate, or heavy-ish dumbbell? And I'm assuming she means for Saturday. Do you want to, do you have a good answer for her, Carlene?
I would go with like depends on what you need. Um, if you're gonna go for like a big unbroken set, you might go with like more of a moderate. If you are, like gonna do some smaller sets, you could go with something heavier. That's if you have access to all those. I'm assuming she does because
Yeah, for sure.
she's asking, but
I would say too, always a good consideration is to look at the goal reps, and it's a really wide range for this one. It's 60 to 100 pull-ups. So we're looking at, I would say, like staying within that target for bent over rows. And really it's so broad. I think that allows for both going kind of like a moderate and even to a heavy. So Julie, I would say, regardless of what you decide, and I think Carlene's advice is great. Like, what's your goal? If you're looking to improve your grip stamina, so you want to go like bigger sets, I would go with like a lighter weight. If you're like trying to improve your strength, still want to get into that 60, like the low end range of the goal, which would be for 5 rounds, 12 per, which I think that's totally doable with a heavy pair of dumbbells.
yeah, even if you're doing like 6 and 6 or like
For sure.
4 sets of 3 even.
Yeah,
So
seriously.
mhm,
It's annoying to get like into and set up and out of for a bent over row for that's such a small set, but like
for sure.
totally doable. Totally
Yeah.
doable. Nice. Any other questions, guys, before we hop off? Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Carlene. That was fun.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining us.
Thanks, guys. See
All
y'all
right.
around.
See ya.
Bye.